Happy Pocketful of Money?
Happy Pocketful of Money. We both have different books, but they're essentially the same book.
Right. Yeah, we were just trying to figure out if there's any differences.
Yeah,
I
I don't think so.
don't think so. Welcome
Not a
to the
whole lot anyway.
podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Because we've been going back and forth about all the things and we're reading the same things. So maybe we have the same number of pages.
Yeah.
So,
So we're assuming that it hasn't changed too much.
mhm.
All right. So where are we in Happy Pocketful of Money? Because usually by the time that we come back, we're done. We're done our book. But this time we are not. Both of us are not finished our
We're
book.
not finished. I'm in chapter 11, and so we just agreed if we can't finish it in this much time, then our readers probably wouldn't be able to also finish it in that much time. But again, just like the other books, like this is really changing my life. Like I'm really diving in and doing all the little steps, all the work. And like I know every time you and I get together or touch base, we just want to like, here's all this stuff.
Yeah, we just want to purge it all before we even get a chance to record.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that are coming up with this book. So I think, you know what, let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
And what are some, let's talk about the beginning of the book. I just want to make mention about the beginning of the book because it talks a lot about the quantum physics.
Okay.
And that's the part that would trip me up in the early stages of reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had a hard time visualizing myself, quantum leaping and quantum jumping. I just didn't know how to see it. And I was having a really hard time. And so when I was reading, I was having a hard time visualizing it. But then what I realized is I could see it happening in my life. I was making quantum leaps in my life.
So when you looked back,
yeah,
you could see it?
And expanding, like I was expanding and taking up more space and shrinking the
Timeline.
Yeah, shrinking the timelines for myself. And I was like, okay, that's how it works. Because the book kind of describes it as like in a football field.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you become bigger, like so that you take up more space, so that the space that you have to cover becomes a shorter distance of space, so that you can, cover or get to where you needed to go faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I just couldn't visualize it, like it wasn't connecting, that whatever metaphor or the example that they were using wasn't connecting with me until I saw it happening in my life. So an example of what that would be is money wise, where I used to want to be at a certain level of money. Like I wanted to be at comfortably earning, $100,000 a year. And now that I've doubled, more than doubled where I'm comfortable at earning. So I've I just shrunk, the timelines are, I'm having a hard time putting it into words. I've closed the gap. Like now I take bigger leaps, I guess. So certain amounts of money now seem smaller. Or I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating it.
Okay. Maybe it'll find its way out.
Yeah.
Because I hear what you're saying. And I agree that when you're trying to sort of explain what's going on, because it's like subconsciously and sort of behind the veil, right? It's hard for me also to like communicate it. Like, how do I actually say this? So
yeah.
It'll come. You'll find it.
Because I feel it. Like I wasn't able to see it when he was describing it, but I was able to see it in my life. I'm able to take bigger leaps. I'm able to take bigger risks. I'm able to see a bigger vision now, whereas before I couldn't see those things for myself. Not immediate anyway. Everything was also uncertain and unclear, but now I could see the big picture, and it seems more real now. I've really closed the gap.
So it sounds like And what I'm hearing is based on your experience and your activities and what you're actually doing, you're able to see that and go, I'm doing it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it. I'm doing the quantum leaping that he's talking about. I couldn't picture it in my mind, but I could see myself in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I I could see myself doing it, quantum
Mm-hmm.
leaping in different things.
So cool.
Yeah.
So exciting.
So that was what the beginning of the book was doing, was like I was having a hard time understanding it, and
Mm-hmm.
then until I could put it into, context with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I got over that, everything else just started like bam, 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 just like kind of
Yeah.
hitting me in all these different different directions.
Oh my goodness. I feel like, and I probably said this before, is like, I want to live from this book. Like, I've been through it so many times, but I can't say, like, honestly, from beginning to end, right? Because sometimes I'll stop, I'll hear something, and I really need to let it like ruminate in
Yes.
my experience. And I think what the book also does for me is it helps like take what I believe and then give me the words for it, because it's like, oh, I already believe that, but I would never have thought of saying it or having it, read that way or whatever.
Hmm.
But what I love about this book is like there's a section, and I think it's like probably chapter 9, 10, where it talks about how, like, first of all, everything's an illusion, timelines are illusion. Like, in what actually is real right now is the moment that exists of us getting ready to record. The moment actually exists of us recording. And then what actually also exists right now is that people are watching this online. But in this very moment, you and I are actually sitting in this office. So there's all of these timelines that actually exist, and it's up to us to choose which one we're going to be in. We're going to be
In
in the
all of them.
timeline. So what's actually true, right?
Yeah. See, and that kind the stuff that you're explaining,
Yeah.
that's why we couldn't just read this book, in a couple of days, and it's one and done.
Yeah.
It's because you really have to read through those types of things and allow them to, like you said, ruminate in your mind, because you have to try and understand it. You have to try put it into context so that you can make yourself understand it. You can help yourself understand it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really deep.
It's really
That's really
deep.
deep.
And something that the author also says, though, and I wanted to make sure that within this conversation we mention that, is you don't have to understand every single step, because the more that you engage it going forward, that's when things will start to move around you so that you do find ways to understand it. Just like how we opened and you said, like, I didn't know how to say it before, but
Yeah.
I am doing this. It's happening to me.
Yeah. And then it's also one of the type of book where you come back to it. You don't just read it one time, or you don't just read it in, one sitting. You pick it up, you read things, you reread things, and
Mm-hmm.
you revisit it maybe a year from now or
Mm-hmm.
a few months from now. It's like like we said, the kind of book that you keep at your bedside,
Mm-hmm.
so that, the things that didn't make sense before, they'll make sense
Mm-hmm.
later.
Yeah. Okay. So if we were to go to the book for a couple of like quick points or book notes, one of the first things that I want to mention is how it talks about dollar money. So physical money is an actual massive illusion. And I loved the explanation in here. And I remember when I read it the first time and I was like, holy shit, yes. So growing up, in my life anyway, physical money was more of a thing. Like, I barely have cash. I use my card. Sometimes I don't use my card. I just use my freaking phone, right? We don't need to see money.
We don't need to hold it.
We don't need to hold it. It's not a physical thing in which we're taught. And it's actually just numbers on a screen or numbers on a piece of paper. Well, numbers on a paper right? So first they were created by humans, by our own community, saying, we're going to say that this bill represents $100, right? And that meant something at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mutual agreement. I'm going to give you this note, which is what it was originally created. Here's a note of $100. It's got value. And then we went to everything on paper. So from like the actual note to like bank paper and, I have this much money in my bank account, right? And now it's just literally numbers on our screens.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more that you see it, it's like disappearing. It's an energy. It's something that we can create to believe or not. Scarcity is something that can take that away, right? Our beliefs, we talk a lot about beliefs. What do we believe about money? But I remember having a conversation with one of my coaches who lives in the US, and she's like, money's not even fucking real. She kept saying that to me. And she's like, she said, Jessica, like, and I was talking to her about like, I made this much money. I need this much more. And she's like, what are you talking about need? Like, just receive it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I get it, but also like help me get there, because she said, you just paid me. You pressed buttons on your phone. You touched your phone. And now I have the money. And she said, is any of this real? So anyway, I know that's kind of a far distance from like the note money to it not being real. But it blows my mind. It's fascinating to think about the different ways of what the heck is money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very, very deep. And, and it can come and go so fast, like in an instant, like in an instant, it could be there, and an instant it can be gone too. So,
and I think there's also other layers that are not in this book when it comes to like money coaching, what some of the money coaches that I've worked with and what they talk about with regards to our container for money, how much we're safe actually keeping and holding, how much we're safe spending. Because like money is so complex, and our experience with money, because getting it is one thing, keeping it is one thing, selling your services and getting paid is one thing, spending, like buying things is like, there's so many different things that we could feel good about, that like, yeah, it's a very complex thing.
Yeah, and it's like we also sometimes we subconsciously set this like glass ceiling for ourselves, or this like container of, this is how much I'm comfortable with making.
Right.
This is how much I know I'm always going to make, this month or this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you get comfortable around that amount, and then you end up staying there. It's almost like weight. Like if anybody's ever battled with their weight, it's like your body gets comfortable at this certain weight. So sometimes you'll go on a diet, but then if you go off, your body will take you right back to that
because
weight
it's
that you're
subconscious programming.
Yeah. And you're so used to it year after year after year. You just kind of like,
and you're used to the struggle, which is the same thing with money. You're used to the struggle.
Yeah. And it to be hard.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
It's so hard. Yeah. Other things that I have written down is everything is a mirror. And my friend Diana says this all the time. And so whenever she's having like a problem or an issue in life, she's like, what is this mirroring? Like what's going on inside me that this lesson is trying to teach me? And that's what this book is saying wealth is about. So internally, and didn't we talk about this?
I'm sure we've talked about this like a lot.
So what's going on with you internally with regards to money? And it comes right back to what we were just talking about with weight, that container, and our identity. So as an individual, in my heart, do I believe that I'm worthy of, getting paid this much for a contract, or that I'm worthy of getting paid this much in a year? Because if I'm not, and this is what I see with a lot of new entrepreneurs, is they don't want to send an invoice. They don't want to tell anyone, the price of my service. I don't want to send them the bill. Like, how do I ask them for the check? Like, how embarrassing. Meanwhile, I'm like, do you have my check? Like, I just have my name on it. Like, I want it. But that took work for me to get there. I wanted to be comfortable with saying, hey, where's my money? And not it being a way that's like you owe me, right? Like, I gave you something, you owe me that money, right? That's a different energy. Whereas, like, I was just sharing with you, like, I'm getting ready to go on a trip. Like, where's the money? What was the thing that we said the other day?
Universe, send me money.
Universe, send me money. Right? Like, that takes a certain amount of work for some people, not for everybody. Some people are so easy with that. I grew up with a lot of scarcity, fear. I was terrified. I would have never said that 10, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and it's also like it's attached, to our worth and our value. Like, we're putting value on ourselves. Like, oh, can I really ask for this much for my services?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it too, I think, has to do with belief in, do I have the ability? Do I have the ability to push myself into this next level? Like, do I have the belief that I deserve to, live a wealthy life? Or do I believe that I can be a business owner? Or do I believe that I know how to do all of this, or that I could manage a business or grow a business? Or, it's just also do I believe that I have the ability to do that for myself?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, I've battled with both. Am I worthy? But I've also battled with, do I believe that it's possible for little old me to become, big entrepreneur, successful, wealthy,
leading people.
Yeah. So it's like,
Big
it's a lot. There's a lot of it really shows you, like, it holds a mirror up to you to really go within and really look at, what are my belief systems? What's holding me back? What have I picked up along the way that I've grabbed onto as my belief systems? Like I was telling you earlier, somewhere in the book, I think it's towards the end of the book, because I'm sorry that I didn't write the chapter down, but it was talking about how reality is just your perception of what is real. And I realized that I have picked up a lot of belief systems around money, and those have become my reality.
Right. And you can change those.
Yes. And I can change them, but I first have to recognize that what they are, and then do the work on, like busting those down and getting rid of them and developing a new belief system. Like, one of my beliefs was, because I read somewhere, I think I might have read it, now that I'm thinking about it, in Susie Orman's book. And it's all about like one of her financial books. And she said, truth creates money and lies destroy it. So now I've hung on to the belief that I have to be honest and truthful, because if I tell one little lie around money, or if I'm dishonest in any way when it's about money, then it's all going to be taken away from me. So now, because I've hung on to this, like, I'm very, very strict with myself when it comes to any type of dishonesty.
Very accountable.
Yeah, around my money. So, in some ways, that's a good thing. We don't want to go around scamming people. But I mean,
but there are people who do that. There are people who lie, steal,
and they're wealthy,
cheat, everything, right? Criminals, and they make money.
Yeah.
And some of them are very wealthy. So to me, what that says to me, and I think what I think at one point I probably thought that as well. Like, I mean, truthful, I think that's part of like who we are anyway. But I do remember hearing years ago that, okay, money doesn't care though. Money is not an entity that has a feeling and picks and choose.
Right.
And I used to think that money did. money would only choose you. And then I did learn that like I recognized that, okay, but people who are criminals, they're making money. Like there's lots of people out there, all the stuff that they got. So you don't necessarily have to be good, which to me,
To be worthy of money.
to be worthy of money. So you don't have to earn worthiness. That's what that sort of like leads me to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you still think that that's one of your current beliefs that you stand by, or are you more?
I still think that it's something that guides me. But when I really, really look at myself, I think it has more to do with my integrity. But yeah, it does still guide me, because I feel like if I'm not doing right by money or by people, then I don't deserve. I don't deserve the fruits of my labor. And I know it, like, it's not something that I should be hanging on to, because we can't ever be perfect, but it holds me to a higher standard. So I do think it serves a purpose in my life, because I live with a lot of integrity. Everything that I put out is, there's a lot of integrity behind it. Nobody's going to get scammed when they come and work for me. I pay people well, those types of things. But at the same time, I feel like it's just not a belief that's true, but I've made it true for myself, and that's what this book is showing me, is like reality. Your reality is your perception.
Yeah.
And, and that's just only one, reality that I've made for myself around money. I have, so page 62 really spoke to me.
Oh my God, I just was on page 62. Wow.
Yay.
Holy shit. And I have notes all over the page. Holy shit, I love when those things happen. It's like so magical. I feel it like honestly in my body right now. Oh, that was fun.
Okay, so I underlined through repetition.
Let's read it together.
Okay. Through repetition, things are embedded into your subconscious. They cross over and become you. Yeah. So things are embedded into your subconscious through repetition. And then
this is what I have on the side. What can I do today that leads me to $1 million?
Asking, because if you ask the question, you're going to be shown the answer. Right. So you have to ask the question, because like, how can the universe give you the answer if you're not asking, if you're not being clear?
Yeah. So I'm going to, so something that I've been trying to do, because, it's in the book, I don't know where, but he says, when you wake up in the morning, before you get up and start thinking about anything, ask yourself a question and just wait for the answer. So as soon as you wake, as soon as your conscience is awake, even before you open up your eyes. And so I've been trying to do that, but sometimes in the mornings, I don't remember the question that I want to ask. So what I've been doing though is I lay there with my eyes closed and I'll go right into gratitude, just like how you said that you did. Because since then I've been amplifying my gratitude, and I still want to do it more. I could do it more and I could do it better. Okay. Anyway, sorry, back to page 62. So it talks about repetition. What do you think about the repetition?
I can see why it's throughout the whole book. It's like we constantly repeat, I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. And, it's just, I completely agree with that, because, repetition, it changes our pathways in our brain, and it rewires the pathways, and it strengthens the pathways in our brain, so that when you do something on repeat, eventually you don't have to keep doing it anymore, because then you just go in that direction.
It becomes that habit.
Yeah. It becomes a habit. You're just, your body and your mind just naturally goes in that direction. So if you're telling yourself constantly, I'm wealth, I am abundance, I am joy, or I am this, I am, a successful business owner, I'm a multi-million-dollar successful business owner. If you say that over and over again, like you begin to believe it because, repetition leads to belief.
Yes.
And once you believe it, it becomes a conviction in your life. And you
Mm-hmm.
just begin to subconsciously start working in that direction.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that it says also on page 62 is be specific and do not keep changing your mind.
Hey.
And that one, I've been working on that too. I decided, and I don't know if we talked about this yet on the podcast, and I think I told you that I'm doing a 30-day challenge.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time.
But I honestly keep resetting it because I don't want to optimize. That was one of my like rules is quit changing your manifestation process. But I realized I'm not changing my goals. So not that I'm changing my process, but I'm getting clearer on like how. Because as you continue to read the book, he tells you more hows, like don't do this, do that. And like don't change your mind, quit changing your mind. Say it this way. When he talks about goals, he says, and I wrote it down in my journal, it's like get clear on the goal, don't change your mind about it. What is the intention? And then there's one more part to it. But I've been sticking to that. And knowing what I want to continue to move to has been really helpful, like having that clarity. And then not changing it has helped me prevent like the flip flop. So, for example, if I want to have $100,000 in the bank for a house, what I have done in the past is I'm like, for a full week, I want $100,000 in the bank and I'm going to do it and it's amazing. And then the next week, and I'm like, well, maybe I can do 50,000.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do 10,000. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen. Right. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely at the stage now where even though for the last week I might have felt $100,000, it's happening. Like, this is great. I can feel it. I definitely can feel in my energy. And I just want to validate this is that today doesn't feel as high,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still reciting my goals and my intentions as $100,000 because I don't want to flip flop anymore. So that becomes
Yes.
my challenge right now. It's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. Either you go through so many internal struggles. And one of my goals that I'm working on right now is I want to do a large scale event in May. And this past couple of weeks, maybe about 3 weeks, I've been really struggling with, do I want to do this? I know that I do. My question is, can I do
Mm,
it? And so I have all these things like going on in my mind, like, of course you can, of course you can do this. You have a lot of time. You can do this. You've done it before. You're putting out a great service and you're helping so many people,
mhm,
and God universe wouldn't have given you this idea if you can't do it. If you don't do it, who's gonna do it?
mhm,
So just
mhm.
all of these things, but then this other voice in my mind saying, but it's so hard, it's so hard to do this. Where are you going to find the money? What's going to happen if you don't sell enough tickets? And then how are you going to get the money to cover this? So it's like really, really been clouding my goal. So I decided now I am no longer going to question it. That is my goal, that I am going to do it.
Mhm.
So I'm no longer going to focus on, oh, maybe I shouldn't, or what if I can't?
Right.
That's off the table now because I'm deciding I'm going for it. So now that's just my goal
Mhm.
is I'm going for this.
Right.
And no longer am I going to waste energy on all of the fear.
Right.
So I had to push it out of my head last night. I was trying to sleep
Mhm.
and that fear crept in,
Mhm.
and then I had to tell myself that's not what we're doing anymore.
Mhm.
I can't give energy to the fear. I have
Right.
to give all of my energy has to go to all of the other stuff.
Right. So the author talks about like making a statement on like a boundary almost. It's like, well, what is the statement? I can't remember exactly where it is in the book, but when you have those thoughts that come up, he says, stop the thought and replace it with something like, I'm not available for doubt or something like that.
Yeah, you have to just kind of like stop it dead in its tracks and like, get the hell out of here. We're not doing this.
And then on page 82, I have it highlighted there. It says, you do not ever have to know how you will reach your goals. Just do your part, let go, and you will reach them. And so what I'm finding hard is just like, yes, I love that. I believe it. I need to hear it. And I feel like there's so many things in here. It's like, I wish I could just have them like posted everywhere.
To remind you as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, sometimes, like I mentioned, today has just been like an awkward day for me. Like I didn't go to the gym on purpose. Like I believe in rest days. And I don't know. Here's the silliest thing. So on my way to work this morning, my steering wheel is heated. So I'm driving, listening to music or listening to whatever on the radio. And my hand, I felt something on my hand. I looked at my hand and I had chocolate on my hand from my steering wheel. And I realized like I had chocolate last night and I didn't know, but I got lost last night. Anyway. So I'm just having like all these little things. I got to work. Something was in my coffee. I had something on my shirt. So I'm just having all these little things.
Yeah, right. Last week you had a candy in your hair.
So I'm just like, holy shit, like how put together am I? Like what is going on? So when my energy is like this, and it's also like my cycle that I follow. So I know I'm going into like my period week eventually. And so my energy is dropping and I knew this was going to happen. So that's the thing, being very aware of my cycle is super helpful because I knew once I get here, it's going to be harder to believe things I haven't seen yet. So I know it's going to be fine because I'm aware, and that's been really helpful for me. But just to kind of share, that's, as much as we get together and we're so excited. And I think also for both of us, not just this year alone, like every year, but for me this year just is really exciting. A lot of really big things. And
a big shifts too.
Lots of big
shifts in direction and more focus,
clarity.
More clarity. We said at the same time.
And, so even though we have all of that amazing stuff, there's still like the real life
stuff that's happening. I want to talk about that for a second. When you were explaining, some of these like things that are just kind of, kicking you around here and there and making you sluggish and like, but those kinds of things were happening in my life. And I think I mentioned it a little bit last week when I was saying that I need to get organized and clear the clutter.
Yeah.
The other day, when I was contemplating, okay, do I want to do this event? I decided to pull some cards for myself and ask, what does my spirit tell me to do? And what is my head and my heart? And one of the things, so that morning before I got to work and before I did that, that morning before I went to work, I decided, okay, I'm not going to go to work this morning. Instead, I'm going to clear everything off the top of my dresser. Because again, I read somewhere, and my belief is creating my reality. I read somewhere that the top of your dresser is a reflection of what's going on in your mental state. And my dresser was just chaotic. It's just an eyesore. And I'm like, what the hell? So I just like cleared everything off. I put everything on my bed.
And do you have a mirror on that table as well?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And I took everything off and I threw a shitload of things in the garbage. And then even things I was like, do I wear these earrings? No. Am I ever going to wear them? No. In the garbage. Like I just did a whole clear.
Yeah.
And then so now it's clear. And then I was like, okay, now, and then I went to work in the
Yay.
afternoon. And when I pulled the cards and it was asking, like I was, asking the question about the event, it also said to me, that you also need to get organized in your life and, clear the clutter, get organized in your home life in
Mm.
order to be successful in your
Mm-hmm.
professional space, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. I see
Mm.
how that does affect how successful I am going to be in my workspace,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to create a balance.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe something is you're throwing you off balance in your life, like where life is just showing you, like, now I got chocolate all over my hands
Yeah.
and I got a big
Yeah.
stain on my shirt, and just I don't know whether it's giving yourself a rest,
Mm-hmm.
slowing down a little bit, allowing, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is for
Yeah.
you.
No, I know. And I'm very aware of it. So I also believe that because I'm of my cycle. So that's what I believe that it's about, because I knew that was coming. So I decided I'm not going to the gym today. I'm going to stay at home and take my time and allow, because I believe, and again, this comes back to like our own beliefs, right? Like I believe that I have all of like the spiritual side and this whole like realm of everything. But then there's also the human me that every once in a while I have to go like, oh yeah, I'm still a human on this planet. Like I'm still, going to experience those things. So to me, that's what's happening right now. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all good. Like it's supposed to happen, and we have to remember those things too. Like that's what the message is for myself.
Mm-hmm. I also wrote down, because you're talking about page 82. On page 82, I underlined, the lack of goals can be dangerous to your health. I fully believe that. I fully believe that when you don't have goals,
Mm-hmm.
that you look for distraction. You look for outside distraction and ways to distract yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
I underline that because I believe that we should have goals that we're setting,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're just small goals. They don't have to be big milestone things like I want to, conquer Mount Everest, or I want to go jump out of a plane. It
Mm-hmm.
could be my goal is I need to clear my dresser drawers. I need to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of my old clothes, or I need to clean my closet, whatever. A goal is a goal, but we have to have them. And something else I wanted to say while we're still on goals is he talks about meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I haven't been doing. And he
Mm-hmm.
talks about how essential that is to your goals. So that is something that I'm going to try to push myself to do in this, for this goal that I'm trying to reach, is I want to meditate on it. I want to do the visualization, and he also tells you have to write it down. Like, it's even it's in this book, it's in every other book that I read, it's even in the Bible. I found out just recently, like
Yeah.
last week, that writing down your vision, it will help it to come to pass. And the thing is, I know this, but I it's just being the messages coming to me from all of these other places. So I'm like, okay, I know all of this, but I actually have to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough, just like you know how to exercise, but you got to actually go and exercise
Yeah.
to see the results.
Mm-hmm.
So I know all of this information, but I got to do it. I have all these fancy journals. I got to write my goals in them.
Mm-hmm.
I have time to meditate. Nobody ever has no time to meditate.
Right. Yeah.
It takes
I
15
have no
minutes.
time.
Yeah.
Time is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. One more thing that stuck out to me was he mentioned that competition leads to scarcity and creativity leads to abundance. That stuck out to me
Mm-hmm.
because we don't need to compete with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than enough to go around. When
Mm-hmm.
people are competing and gatekeeping and being nasty towards each other, that just creates scarcity in yourself because you're so worried about what somebody else is doing or going to copy you or competing with you that you're blocking the natural flow that wants to come to you. You're blocking your own natural flow because you're focused on somebody else.
Right.
Can't focus on somebody else. You got to focus on you.
This is so much our event, hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because as you were saying that, it made me think about the story that you talk about where you say, like, quit looking behind you, or I forget how you say it.
Yeah, when you're running the race, you're just wasting your energy when you're, looking behind you to see who's catching up.
Right. Yeah.
Then you just got to be looking forward, focus on yourself, focus on
Yes.
your own things that are going on in your mind and not somebody else. They're running their race. You got to run yours.
Yeah.
And then he said, so competition creates scarcity and creativity creates abundance, because when you're not focused on competing and what other people are doing and you're just focusing on your own creativity, putting your ideas out into the world, making your ideas happen, you create abundance, because when you're in your creativity, you open up that natural flow, for things to find you, for people to find you, the right people to find you. And so that really, really stuck out to me, and I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I really enjoy this book. I enjoy the lessons. And I don't think I've ever read the back of it, but I just saw True Wealth. It's not about the money. And that's really what this book is about. Like, it's called Happy Pocketful of Money, and we want money. We like money. We want to receive and spend the money. But wealth is also about so much more. And this is such a well-told book. And didn't you Google once who the writer was?
Yes. And I was actually really surprised when I found out who the writer was, because he was from, I believe it was Africa or Kenya or somewhere. And I remember thinking, wow, like, he comes from, a country where there's not a lot of wealth and abundance, around him. And for him to take himself from, from not growing up seeing a lot of wealth and abundance to be somebody who can write about, attracting and finding wealth and abundance, to this degree. So it just shows how somebody can take their personal growth to that level. And, that really motivated me, and it gave me that, like, well, if he can do it, so can I. Like, because I come from somewhere that doesn't have a lot of, wealth and abundance around me.
Yes. Yeah, so good. David Cameron Gikandi, so good.
I want to take us back to page 66 and again back to gratitude. Because I think that we should always, revisit gratitude because it's so important. And I know that you mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but it says, do not wish that your present were different. Live happily in your present. And intend your future with clear focus and precision. So, like, he really talks about, like, when you're trying to manifest something, don't sit there and wish that your life, that your present circumstances were different and be unhappy in your present circumstances. You have to find a way to be happy in your present circumstances. And also it says, be of present mind, but make choices about your future and intend your future with one single mind, clear focus, and precision. So I thought about that, and, like, again, when I was manifesting my house, I remember making sure that I was very grateful for the house that I was currently in and everything that was happening in that house, how my children were being raised, how I was living, everything that went on in that house. I wanted to be happy in that house, but at the same time, I knew that I wanted something different And I was very clear on what I wanted, why I wanted it. So it's like telling you, like, you can want different things. You can want more for yourself. But at the same time, you have to be happy for where you are in order to make it happen. So I wanted to mention that about gratitude is like, as we're goal setting and as we're trying to push ourselves into the next level, we have to make sure that we're also showing gratitude for where we are right now, because these little things are, they're pushing us, they're propelling us forward, so that when we get to that next level, we're happy and grateful, every time that we level up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to mention that, I think it's going to take me a little while to get through this book. So, in this next little while, if I don't finish it, I might just, revisit it, even if we're talking about another book, because I do want to also move into another book, because I don't think that this is a book where I can just
finish.
Yeah, just finish.
Yeah.
I need to take it in here and there.
So to close this episode, we're coming back to do this one again? Or we're just going to start a new book?
What do you want to do? Do you want to start a new book and then be reading this at the same time? Or should we still continue with this?
I feel like I'm not ready to put this down.
All right. Well, that's what we'll do is let's just keep reading before we even introduce a new book.
Yeah.
Let's allow this one to work its magic.
It's so good. It needs it.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Okay, well, thank you, and we'll see you in the Facebook group.
Bye.